You sent me like an Instagram post. Speaking of which,
Can we
like,
talk about it?
yes, can we
I didn't. We
talk?
have to. Now I know you're not on IG like you used to be, but were you aware of it before I sent you this
No.
post?
And so did it blow up?
Okay, it blew up on this person's page. So this is, and I actually shared it on our stories just to get some quick feedback from our audience, because so this is a post that Tamika D. Mallory posted. And if you have ever heard of the Women's March that happened in 2017 after the inauguration of He Who Must Not Be Named, Tamika was one of the founders of that march, and she's got over 1 million followers on Instagram. She's become a huge social activist, and she does amazing work. Like this woman is a bad, bad woman, and in a good way, you know what I mean? She's amazing, and I feel I saw this just pop into my feed, this post that she put up, and I will read it to you guys too, but my gut reaction was something about this does not set right with me. But before we get into it, because it is, she's been getting into it. It has over 4,000 comments on her own page, and it's starting to make the rounds on other Black influencer pages. But before we get into it, because we do need to talk about it, I just want to establish that I am not a huge fan of like cancel people because they said something a bit tone deaf or whatever. Like this woman has done so much for, and still does. She just hosted an amazing event in Harlem that was free for kids and for families anyway. So this maybe was a misstep in my opinion, but I don't think at all it takes away from her the body of work that she has done and how much good she has done. So that's my disclaimer. But here's the post. It's one of those take a picture of a tweet and post it things. And she says, IDK, who needs to hear this? But you're not overwhelmed. You are lazy and unorganized. Wake up earlier. Get an agenda book. Create a routine. Create boundaries. Say no. Stick to your schedule. Write down and adhere to your deadlines. You are standing in your own way. And her caption said, let me write a caption here because it seems people don't understand that every post is not for every person. There are many people who just need to focus on their plan, stay off the internet and prioritize and stop being lazy. That's me at times. And this post is for you if you know you can do better. And I will leave it there.
And then she did an updated post, just so you know, like I guess the next post she said,
she doubled down.
When I read a post that says, I don't know who needs to hear this, and then I read the post and it doesn't apply to me, I move on. I don't tell the person who's posting it they are wrong about something they feel is important. Could it be that it hit you deep? Now, here's the thing. Here's what I say, right? You are free to post whatever you want, but also people are free to respond unless you turned off comments. Right. And then two, I don't know, girl, because I have been on both sides. There's times when I've just been straight lazy, and there's times when I'm overwhelmed, not because I'm actually overworked. I'm overwhelmed because there's underlying stress that is actually causing me. Like, I know when I'm feeling stressed, if one nap is not enough. Like usually I take maybe like a 45-minute nap. But if I'm like, I slept 2 hours today during the day and then I'm still tired and I'm tired again, one of the fastest ways that my body gives me an indication, Tiffany, you are stressed deeply. So borderline depressed is I am sleepy in a way that's unnatural. That's not me being lazy. That is my body saying, stop. We are overwhelmed for whatever reason. It doesn't necessarily mean overworked, but we are overwhelmed and we are physically slowing you down. And I think that, I don't know. I think she just missed the mark. I mean, I get what she's saying because certainly, there are definitely times when it's like, Tiffany, you really could do a little bit more or you could step up. But to say, here's the thing. It would have hit better if it was like, sometimes we've all been lazy and we need to get organized and wake up. But to say you're not overwhelmed, it's like you're making a judgment. You don't know that someone's not overwhelmed. You don't know the cause of their overwhelm. It's an easy, lazy post. And then to say, oh, well, if it doesn't apply to you, it's like, well, it doesn't work that way, sis. You posted it publicly, so you get addressed publicly. And that's okay. That's just the way the world works. I can freely speak and share, and people can freely give me their feedback. You know, so it goes both ways. So I think that it was like kind of a misstep there. Although certainly sometimes we need a little kick in the behind, but I don't know that this is it.
This is a thing. And this is why I'm kind of like, Tiffany, you were right to get off IG, because this is the danger of being an IG and putting you're scrolling through social media landmines is how I feel it. And you don't know when you're going to hit one. And I know because as someone who deals with anxiety, not even I will fully, there's a spectrum of anxiety, and I am on the border of having like a diagnosed anxiety disorder, but I have managed and have people in my life who truly have debilitating anxiety disorders that stem from things like sexual assault, being abused in the past, or they generally just have an anxiety disorder. And I put myself in the shoes of someone and having also dealt with my own anxiety, who is just scrolling through their IG feed, and they see this. And this is where her intention doesn't really matter, because the thing is, the person, even if she says this may not be for everybody is going to see it because you posted it publicly.
Yes.
And it's you say tough love, and I agree. I have said things like this to people that I love, a cousin, a sibling. I'm the tough love sibling in the family. Like, I call it like it is. I'm like, which I can do because I think that we have such a foundation of love and support, and they know that it's coming from that place of love and support. And that's why I think that's where, like, people that personally, I think you can give them that tough love. And so it sounds like she knows some people, maybe 3 or 4, or I don't know how many, who she should have texted this to privately.
Girl.
I do not think that the entire world and unsuspecting people who may have been scrolling on their IG feeds who follow her for her amazing work deserve to see something like this, because I just, my heart breaks, because even I have been someone who had to learn to be gentle with people who have anxiety and have mental health issues. I am someone who, if you're walking too slow, I'm like, just hurry up. Oh, your ankle hurts, and that's because I am so hard on myself for my own self-esteem issues. It's my own, like, I'm projecting my insecurity on someone else. You know what I mean? Now, where I have learned to be really empathetic to people is I've seen how a fucking to-do list and an agenda book does not work. When you have an anxiety disorder, the problem is not that you don't know. I'm looking at this post and I'm like getting even angrier. The problem isn't that they don't know how to do the things. It's that you can write down a list, step 1 through 10. And if step 1 is put on your shoes, they are still paralyzed, and everything is overwhelming, and laying on the couch or taking a walk or doing whatever, putting their head under a pillow, that seems like what their body needs at that time. And
I just think
that
it's so
is
ill-timed, right? Like we
it's
never
never a good time.
candy, right? But meaning, like, especially now, are we going to act like there's not collective trauma that we're all dealing with? We've seen people die in mass, right? Scared to go outside. Like, running to get your mask every single time, worrying about your elderly parents or your grandma. Now kids are getting the Delta variant and dying. I saw a 4-year-old just died. We didn't just have like these terrible storm systems that passed through. So I'm just saying, like, literally, there is a collective trauma that we are experiencing worldwide. This is not good times, the 90s when the economy's doing good worldwide. No, there is a collective trauma that we are experiencing as a human race, period. Right? There's no corner of the world that has not been experiencing some form of trauma as relates to what's happened with COVID. And so I just feel like, although it's never a good time, it's especially ill time, because sometimes people don't even know that they're experiencing trauma. Like, literally, I won't know that, like, something is going on until, like, Superman will be like, "You all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" He's like, "This is your 3rd nap today." I'm like, "It is." And I'm like, or like, I'll just be sitting on the couch and I can't even keep my eyes open. And I'm like, "But you slept last night, Tiffany." And I'm weary, but not physically tired. And so, I just think, like, I hear you, sis, but, well, then you have to hear us too. Like, nah, this ain't it. Like,
And remember that your words have so much power. How could you forget? How could you forget? You can't,
like, that whole book
be defensive against that energy. And there's plenty of people who are like, yeah, I mean, they're thanking her for saying it. And I do think that people read this and they were like, yup. But I don't think this is that much different. and maybe I should think before I say this. I'm trying to think really fast. But remember Rachel Hollis, when she came out and she said, "Do you think I'm trying to be relatable?"
Ooh, relatable, yes.
Was Harriet Tubman relatable? Da 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 da. Now it's very different. Rachel Hollis is white, da da da, you know, and she has that whole series called Girl dot dot dot, which is, you know, I think culturally appropriating like a phrase that Black women started. But anyway, and in this case, I just feel like it's almost as if she's saying this wasn't for you. You know, if you don't find this, if you don't enjoy what I'm saying, then it wasn't for you. So just keep it moving. You know, like I'm not trying to relate to everybody, but when you have a public platform, your words have matter, and they matter, and they have such a huge reach. And so I just fear for the people who are looking at that and internalizing that same dialogue, which is that something is wrong with me. If I can't do things, I should have things everyone else should have. I mean, this is the peril of being on social media. And it is one of those, I think, digital landmines that just, it goes off. And I think if you're the one who planted it there, you have to take responsibility for that. I hate that it was her, because she's wonderful. And her work is so extraordinary, but I was disappointed. I really was, in how she handled the whole thing.